Alright, so today we're going to be taking a look at a VOD of a gold to Ana. This is Destin, and
It's very
yeah, just going to
tender
be
and
taking a look at the
tasty.
VOD, pointing out mistakes, pointing out
Subtle?
things you should be
Thank
working
you.
on, looking to
It was
improve,
Dr. Liao's favorite
and
dish.
yeah,
I'll have
let's
some and
see how
explain
this
it better
goes.
next time.
Right off the bat, looking at comps, I think this works out pretty well. I think you could try and run Baptiste here, just because your Mercy is already going to be with your Echo, and you, Ryan, and what's her name, May can just stick together as a core, but that doesn't matter because it looks like Bro is swapping over to Widow to start. Alright, right off the bat, that nade you just threw got absolutely no value. Like, I get that, okay, sure, it's cool to start off with it, but there's no, like, same with that nade, there's no reason to throw it right, your nade so early, just because even if it hits, like, let's say it hits your Ana, hits their Ana, who on your team can reliably take advantage of that anti? Nobody. You don't have like a tracer in position or a ball in position or a monkey ready to diver. You're playing a pretty static comp outside of the Echo Mercy. So throwing your antis early is like you're effectively wasting them because nobody's gonna be able to follow up on them. Uh, even the if you can hit the if you hit the Ramatra here, it would have been slightly different because now, what's it called? Your Ryan can kind of just walk over him without like much fear, and Ramatra likely dies or at least gets his Nemesis form forced. So right off the bat, try not to waste your cooldowns early. Same for the sleep I saw. There's no reason to sleep that early. You want to be using your sleep defensively or reactively rather than just like eating it out into the open. Looking at their comp, the two biggest things you want to be sleeping is you want to be saving it for when Genji dives you or when Ramatra pops his Nemesis form. There's also Soldier when he pops Visor, but I think that's much more niche and not something it's not something you need to be worrying about right now. Your main goals at the moment, because it is still like the fight just pretty much started. You want to be looking to save your sleep for the Ramatra so you can get an easy anti on him. Because the enemy team isn't running Kiriko, which means you as Ana, your carry potential just went up like a shitload. With no Kiriko, it's way easier for Ana to do things. Even with a Kiriko on the enemy team, like Ana can still be doing things, but it's just you get so much more value now that because there's no Kiriko. Like right there, I would have actually I'm not sure if you had it on cooldown or not. In this situation, when you see the Ramatra just blocking like that, I would have just gone for the nade right off the bat. That sleep was effectively a waste. You let your Rhine die. Your mechanics need work, but that's not really something I can comment on just because it's just kind of is what it is. Good kill from your soldier, but I would pay attention to positioning here. You're standing like this out in the open, in the middle of the fucking choke, trying to top up your Mei. If this Zenyatta charges a right click, you're dead. If this soldier peeks out, heals your feet, shoots you in the head a couple times, you're dead. Just be mindful about your positioning. Like right there, when you were trying to top up your Mei, I would have come to like here, used it narrow, or like hug this right wall. Just because, let's look at it from their POV. When they're swinging, if you're standing out in the middle, they're gonna see you first. If you're back here, they have to swing. They have to swing further out, which is more dangerous for them. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Nice nade on the Ramatra, but nice sleep. Shame that you can't follow up on it. Again, anteing deep. Who here can follow up? It's just you. It's just supports and Rhine. No one is gonna be able to follow up on a nade, even if you had like both of them. Like it would have gone. It's still zero value. In my opinion, I think the best way to be playing Ana is to be like when you're not playing like hard dive, we're not playing like monkey tracer or like ball tracer, is just to perma anti the tank. If they don't have a Kiriko, just throwing your anti on the enemy tank whenever your tank is in position to follow up is just going to win you so many fights. Because, like, in this case, when it's Ramatra versus Ryan, at the very least, you force out Nemesis. Once he's in Nemesis, boom, you get an easy sleep because he's now a giant fucking fat ass. Your Ryan can just run over him. Let's continue here. Don't waste your time shooting the shield. Ram shield just doesn't break. I don't think you need to use sleep there. Just be a bit more mindful about your cooldown usage. That's a good nade. It hits both you and your Rhine. I'm not sure why your Rhine is not swinging on the Ram, but gold players, I guess. Alright, good wall from your mate. You have Nano here. Cool. You slept the Ana to death. Okay. You did not need that anti. My bad. Nano. They're already down Ram. They're already down Ana. You pretty much won the fight. They only have Zenyatta and DPS. I would say that a Nano would be appropriate if one of their DPS like pops an ult and like gets a pick, and you Nano just to secure the fight. But in this case, you didn't really need it. Your Ryan was already going in. You had nade on him. He had like extra healing. You could easily top him up. The Nano was just hella overkill. All right.
The Eye of Horus watches over you.
Okay, the fact you get that sleep, that was lucky, but there was no reason to use your sleep here. I think in this position, what I would have done is, I've been playing further back. I would be like jiggling and trying to quickscope the Ram for a bit of ult charge. Once he gets close enough, I would just start kiting, because you kind of lose nothing just from poking for a bit of ult charge. So, alright, you never want to be doing this against a Ram, or I guess any projectile hero. You never want to just walk in a straight line and like hug the wall. Especially against like projectile heroes. Strafing, 80 strafing is just going to throw them off so much, but don't just like 80, 80, 80. Mix it up a bit. Like, do some hard strafes to the left, hard strafes to the right. Just make yourself a bit harder to hit. Throw in some jumps in there. It's a nice wall by your Mei. Alright, your tunnel visioning, you need to be aware of where the Genji is. He wouldn't be behind you, just like he's likely going to be in your team. You let your Mei die there, which is not good. Again, you need to stop just randomly eating your sleep into the enemy team. In that situation, like when you were here and you were looking for Genji, like I would say it would be appropriate to use sleep then, because you're kind of using it defensively. But even then, I wouldn't do it. I would only save it for when he actually commits his dash onto you, or when he has played. Once again, nade gets absolutely zero value. I would be saving it for when you're right. Here, imagine if you had nade right now. While your Ryan's at this corner, if you can land a nade here, it hits both your Ryan and the Ram. Your Ryan kind of just wins that matchup. Or, like I said, at the very least, forces out Nemesis. You're frontlining. Lining. I'm not sure what that Genji's doing, but cool for your Mei. Don't be afraid to quick scope here. Where'd the Zen go? Oh, the Zen's right there. This is fine. Holy shit, that Ramatra is stupid. I'm sorry, but that Ramatra is something else. Alright. You don't need, like, don't be afraid to scope at ranges like that. He's anti-ed, you can't really do much about it. At this point, I would be calling for my Mei to start kiting back. Not sure if you get the cap here, but, you want to die quick here. You're just staggering yourself. If you can get out, that's cool, but in that situation, I would have just fed into the enemy team. Out in the open, be careful. There's no reason for you to peek that. You already have Nano, you don't need to peek. Quick scope. Try to use quick scope more, because I think quick scoping is such an important aspect of Ana, that I think a lot of people, like, tend to, like, a lot of like lower rank players tend to look over. It like the only downside to quickscoping is that you have a lower rate of fire, which I don't think is a problem like when you're poking or when you're trying to take duels, because it's almost better to take the extra like quarter of a second to line up your shot or make sure it's hit scan just so it's easier to aim. Quickscoping I think is genuinely one of the most important skills to have on Ana. I'm not sure why your Mei ulted there, but cool. At this point, you should not be. You should be calling for your Rein to fall back. Not sure what that sleeper nade was supposed to achieve. Remember, it's a 14-second cooldown and a 10-second cooldown. You can't just be yeeting it. That's a solid nano, but I would have waited a bit longer. Not sure why we're frontlining here. Not sure what we're sleeping here. Not sure what soldier's looking at there. But yeah. Alright, so your tank swaps the ball. Let's see how this goes. Alright. Now that your tank has swapped from what's his name, Reinhardt over to ball, what you want to be doing is see how the enemy are all playing clumped up? Your ball's gonna be getting massive slams. Your ball is like likely the play that I would be doing here on ball is I would grapple, swing up, roll through him like this, and then like slam, like do a 180 slam. While he's looking for that slam, the best thing you can be doing on Ana is like going the opposite direction and looking for a nade, because ball is just gonna draw so much attention to the point where your nades are gonna be much more free. It's not just gonna be like, oh, the Ramatra is gonna be having to look at you, looking at your tracer, looking at your ball, not just staring down like main when you're playing Reinhardt. So now that you have ball, you have a lot more opportunities to look for nades and sleeps. Once again, we're wasting our cooldowns, which is not good. Remember, try to ask yourself, what value am I getting with this cooldown? What was that sleep supposed to achieve? Suppose you did hit it. What would you be getting? That's a good nade on the Ramatra. Just because it how to say it? It forces him to play much more passive role in his ult. That's a good nade. Quick thing, I am going to assume that you were chasing after your ball to try and heal him up. A lot of the time, I don't think it's worth worrying about healing a ball, just because balls generally are like pretty independent. They can work on their own and get their own what's it called? Healing. In this case, quick scoping. If you can't hit your shots, just quick scope or hard scope. Like, there's no shame in scoping. Just like a lot of people will say, oh, it's bad to just stand still and scope, but if that's what it takes for you to hit your shots, you just need to be aware of what's around you. Like let's say they have a Widowmaker, you wouldn't want to be like hard scoping on him. Alright, you got your Trank. You got Trank forced out. Alright, just look at imagine how much more damage you could be doing if you were scoping here. Or taking the extra time to line up your shot. That's a nice anti. The nano was a bit iffy, but it'll pass. You can look for a nade on Ram. Good job. Take your time. If you need to take your time to aim, take your time to aim. You don't need to rush it. Taking that extra fraction of a second is better than missing 2 shots. You gotta stay calm here. Nice sleep, but I wouldn't tunnel vision too much on it, because if you do die as a result of trying to chase that sleep, that's bad. If you're not in position to follow up on the sleep itself, trust that one of your teammates is going to be able to follow up on your ping. That's a nice sleep on Zen. If you had nade there, slam, that would have been fucking amazing, because you pretty much just win the team fight off of that. But yeah. try and coordinate your cooldowns with when your team does something. Alright, you get the team kill. Alright, a little note on ult tracking. I do know, like, I know that ult tracking isn't something that, like, I'd expect you to pay attention to, but generally I feel like it's always a good idea to have, like, some idea of, like, what they would have. Like, oh, they haven't used Ramatra ult in a while, he probably has it. Something like that. So, in this case, if you know they have Ramatra ult, as Ana, you wanna be playing back much further. And you wanna be, saving your sleep dart for it. But either way, your team cleans up, that's a nice nano onto your ball. Yeah, I think generally just with cooldown usage, you want to be much more, you need a lot more discipline with like what you're doing, because right now the main TLDR is you're just wasting your cooldowns a lot without giving without giving much thought as to who can actually follow up, what value you're getting out of your nades. Like you can hit a 5-man anti, but if no one is in position to actually like do a kill with it, you just fed the enemy team all charge. Not sure what that nade was supposed to achieve. Again, not in position. No one is in position to follow up on that nade. Same thing. No one's in position to follow up on that sleep. Cool. You delayed them for what? An extra 4.5 seconds. So what? It's not like it matters in the grand scheme of things. Alright. Look right here. Right there, when that Doomfist was just standing there and blocking, he would be dead if you had your cooldowns. If you didn't just eat your nade to statue or just eat your sleep down lane. If you hit a sleep and like an anti or just one or the other on this Doom, he's likely dead. Because he's got an Orisa in front of him and as well as your entire team looking at him. It's a nice nade, but shame that you hit it after he disengages. Positioning. Right now, as on Blizzard World, I almost always want to be playing up here as Ana, because you can see over to the high ground and you still have like you're still able to throw nades down here. You're still able to throw nades down here. You can drop down. You can kite back here if you need to. There's a mega right here if you need one. You almost want to be almost always be playing up here and then like rotating down. Hell, you can drop down here and take this mini if you like really needed. But you almost never want to drop down to the right side because that's right side is generally where the attackers are going to be hitting from. So yeah, let's jump back into it. Don't be afraid to scope here. Don't be afraid to scope. That's a waste of a nade. Again, don't be afraid to use your scope. Ana is a sniper. She has a scope for a reason. Don't be afraid to use it. Nice anti on the Doom. Not sure why we're frontlining over here. We should be playing corners here. If you're gonna be playing around here, like, tell me what advantage does playing here have over playing here? There's no advantage. Like here, you can play here and just hide yourself from this sight line. You can rotate up to high ground. You have cover. You can peek in and out. Like there's no reason not to be like playing back here instead of playing in the middle of a point. If you want to play like, I guess you could play around this pillar, which like it's not as good as playing back there, but like some cover is better than no cover. Alright, enemy team swaps over to D.Va. Against D.Va, be much more mindful about just yeeting your cooldowns, because I've seen you get like lucky with that, like some of your cooldowns, like you'll just yeet them and then they'll be getting good value. You gotta be tracking the defense matrix because a good D.Va will always look to eat that. Alright, with Nano here, Nano likely goes to Orisa. You could nano her like as she like engages with her ult. You could also look for nano on your what's her name Sim if it becomes like a messy brawl on point. Your Orisa's in their spawn for some reason. I'm intrigued by that. Yeah, against a diva, you can't really just yeet your cooldowns down like that. I would kite here. I'm not sure about the Torbjorn ult. You could nano your Torb to keep the fight going here. Nade's cool. Nice sleep. I would I would have nanoed him like a half second earlier, but it works. That's quick scope. Quick scoping here would make like a lot of difference. You'd be hitting a lot more shots if you were quick scoping. Quick scoping pretty much just has the same like I said, the only downside is the rate of fire. You get all the benefits of scoping while also all the benefits of staying unscoped. You keep the bigger FOV, you keep the you aren't moving slowly. That's a very nice anti. Scope! Scope! Don't let your Orisa die! Don't let your Orisa die! Oh, well, she's anti, so you're kind of screwed. It's another nice anti. Too bad no one in position to follow up. Take your time here. Take your time with your duel. Not sure what that sleep was supposed to accomplish. I would have saved it for the Genji and tried to, what's it called? Hit on him. And I guess they C9? Anyways. Just want to go over quick scoping really quickly. When you're quick scoping, you're effectively just playing like this. You're playing corners and then you're... Because realistically, in-game, your teammates aren't going to be standing still like this. It's going to be harder. In that little window, like that little split second where from when you peek out to when you like shoot your shot, you want to like you have that little window to like try what's it called, track your teammate movement. Like quick scoping is a really important thing, and I think it's something that will make your Ana gameplay much better. Other than that, I think focusing on the timing of your cooldowns and like you want to be using like the next game you play, I want you to be focusing like maybe take another like 15-20% of your head and just tell yourself in your brain throughout the game like I need to be using my nades like at points where they're actually going to be getting value. I need to be actually saving my sleep for defensive purposes. Or ask yourself right before you want to in like the pre-fight hey, what do I want to be doing this fight? Or what do they have that I need to be like planning my cooldowns for? Like, oh, I'm gonna wait until their Ramatra like pops his shield and pops his Nemesis form, and then I'm gonna anti him. Or oh, I'm gonna save my sleep for when the enemy ball engages on me. I'm gonna look for fight planning with nano is also important. Pretty much like the easiest thing you can do is just say in chat like, okay, I'm gonna look to nano. Let's say I'm gonna look to nano soldier this fight. Soldier, let me know when you want it, or something like that. Or like, I'll nano you when you pop your ult, or something like that. Just like, I'm waiting on you, or something like that. Communication with nano is important. A lot of the time you can't just like assume that like they're gonna go in, because the worst thing you can do is nano someone who's already in, and like nano them as they're disengaging. I think that's the worst thing you can do with nano. There's also defensive nanos, which like you let your like trying to think of who would be the best. Like your Reinhardt, if he's going like ape shit in the enemy backline, once he's half, just pop nano on him, let him go ape shit for like a little bit longer. Yeah, outside of that, I think the biggest points are focus on your cooldown usage, focus on actually using them in times and scenarios where you can actually get value with them, and not just like yeeting them out blindly like that. Like Ana's cooldowns have some of the most impact on like the fight. She has some of the best utility in the game. Like you constantly see tank players whine about how broken anti-nade is. It's like team fight winning. So because you have such important cooldowns, because I think Ana's the only support with a hard CC. You you can't just randomly yeet them because what? It's a 10-second cooldown, the 14-second cooldown. You need to be putting a lot more thought into uh what those abilities are going to be doing in the fight. Like like I said, you can hit a 5-man nade, but if no one's in position to follow up, you've effectively just fed the enemy support's 300 points of ult charge. Outside of that, keep working on your aim, keep working on your mechanics. I think mechanics alone are enough to carry you up to like diamond, maybe even masters. Work on your positioning. That's just gonna be something that comes with time. Play your corners. Respect the enemy. And yeah, I guess that'll wrap it up for the VOD review.
You're powered up. Get in there.